हिंदुस्तान में तो फॉग चल रहा है।
क्या चल रहा है?
अंकल फॉग चल रहा है।
Hello, genius people. What if you were asked to disrupt the perfume industry without a formal business education and with a new business venture? And not to forget, perfume industry, which is already dominated by major products from various MNCs. Products have a considerable customer loyalty and brand image. Well, doesn't that sound like a hard nut to crack? That's what Darshan Patel did with FOGG. FOGG, which is a deo perfume company, which managed to emerge as a market leader in spite of having a smaller bottle than compared to its competitors. Well, this is how the market share of various companies looked like in 2010 when FOGG wasn't even present. And this is how the market changed just after 4 years of FOGG's entrance. But how did FOGG manage to achieve this feat? That's the question of which we are going to find an answer today. Here's your friend Darshan and let's get started. There is a 3-step formula which can be attributed to the success of FOGG. But before we learn about the genius 3-step formula, let me tell you about the man behind the show, Darshan Patel. Darshan Patel, the branding genius, has no formal education in business field, but he has still managed to develop brands like FOGG, Boroplus, White Tone, Crack, Moo, etc. He started his career at Paras Pharmaceuticals, his own family-owned enterprise. He worked there for a long period and picked the basics of business. While his tenure at Paras, he pioneered brands such as Moo, Boroplus, and though Paras was a profitable company, he unfortunately had to leave it due to some differences. He sold all of his stakes at Paras, but his intuition and desire to develop brands didn't permit him to stay idle for a long period of time. And finally, in 2010, he started Vini Cosmetics, which is the parent company of FOGG brand. Initially, he started researching the consumer behavior and market for developing a new product. And finally, as a result of his creative and dynamic thinking, gave birth to FOGG. So I hope you remember the 3-step formula which we talked about in the initial. Let me tell you how FOGG implemented it for its own growth and how you can use it for developing your own amazing product. Try a market gap. Market gap is a practical or emotional need which hasn't been fulfilled yet in the market. Darshan Patel intelligently identified 2 market gaps in the deodorant market. The first one was product positioning. Each and every brand in the market placed their deo as a tool to instantly attract women. Secondly, the deos manufactured by these companies has gas as a major content. Thus, the duration for which they lasted was minimal. This caused discontent in the minds of consumers. 4 P's of marketing mix. After identifying the market gap, what did FOGG do next? So after understanding the market gap, the time now was to fill the gap correctly with the 4 P's of marketing mix. Product. Product is something which satisfies the need of consumers. Seth Godin's, the marketing pro, has a lock-key analogy for product development. As Seth Godin says, it doesn't make any sense to make a key and then run around looking for a lock to open. The only productive solution is to find a lock and then fashion a key. To simplify it, we should look for a problem and then craft a solution. As FOGG had to fill the market gap of deo bottles with gas, which lasted for a shorter duration, it was launched as a non-aerosol spray without any gas. One bottle of FOGG promised 800 sprays to the consumer. Please. After developing FOGG sprays, Darshan Patel now had to solve the problem of product distribution. For this, he utilized his connection with distributors and thus FOGG was made available at each and every retail market. Here's a tip for you. For placing a product correctly, you should consider the habits of target audience. For example, younger audience prefer online shopping and older audience go for offline. Price wars are just manipulations. To understand this better, let us take an example from economics. The oligopoly market demand curve. Do not worry about the technical aspects of the model, I will explain it to you in simple words. In economics, demand is said to be elastic to price. That is, if price decreases, the demand rises. Thus, the graph in the image has a flatter slope in the initial. But looking at the price decrease, the competitors retaliate with more price cutting. This reduces the increase in demand of the first firm. Thus, if initially you decrease the price of your product, your competitors will retaliate by decreasing their own product prices, and thus you will get no gain from the overall transaction. Hence, you must stay away from price competition. And in case of FOGG, to stay away from price competition, Darshan Patel priced his products 10 to 15% more than its competitors. And lastly, the fourth piece, promotion, which we would consider in the third step. Differentiate or die. As Darshan Patel says, and I quote, "If there is nothing different, the competition boils down to quality and price." Thanks to the intelligent product positioning of FOGG. Currently, FOGG is being sold in 60 plus international markets. Darshan Patel himself believes in creating a differentiated product and failing instead of creating a me-too product in the market. But now the question remains is how FOGG differentiated its product from the competition. Well, to answer this question, FOGG was placed as a long-lasting perfume instead of an attraction tool. And do you remember the iconic Kya Chal Raha Hai advertisement? Well, not only it promoted FOGG but also tapped a trigger. Now what is a trigger? Well, trigger is anything that reminds us of a brand or a person. In case of FOGG, the conversational cliche "Kya chal raha hai" acted as a trigger and reminded people about FOGG. Basically, from this overall scenario, we can infer two things. Firstly, product differentiation can be achieved through practical value or through emotions. And for differentiating a product emotionally, you will need to communicate with the values and core desires of your consumers. And finally, we are on the last section of the video. The business lessons which we can learn and apply to our own businesses. But before we dive into it, make sure you subscribe to the channel or otherwise we might never meet again. And assuming you did so, I welcome you to the Standout Cult, a group of people which are committed to betterment. Now getting back to the business lessons, firstly, customer research is of utmost importance. It's not about you, but it's about the consumer. Secondly, pricing competition is quite risky. Thus, product differentiation is a better option to mitigate. And lastly, everyone sees, but the real standouts observe. Thank you.